Hey friends, welcome back. Thank you for joining me again tonight. Before we start, if you like this type of content, liking and subscribing really help keep this going. Also, drop in the comments what other game or series you'd like to listen to in the future. I tend to listen to these myself quite often. And now, let's step quietly into the metal menagerie stalking Calabretta, the ARC machines, what they are, how they behave, and why understanding them keeps Speranza alive. Think of ARC not as an army, but as a stacked system. Each unit fills a job in a larger workflow. Find, fix, strip, move, protect, repeat. When raiders say, know the job, you know the bot, this is what they mean. You don't fight the whole swarm. You read the task in front of you and break it. At the bottom of the chain sit the ticks. They're small, cheap, and everywhere, the ARC equivalent of a smoke detector crossed with a box cutter. They like edges, stair treads, curb lines, the lip of a loading dock. If you watch them long enough, a pattern emerges. Short patrol loops with occasional pauses where they anchor for a diagnostic and flare a short-range scan. The sound is your first tell. A quick servo chirp when they pivot. A faint click when the mandibles set. They don't hunt on their own, they punish mistakes. Step on glass, brush a metal rack, or show a hot silhouette in a cold hallway, and a tick becomes the first alarm bell. The playbook underground is simple. Never give a tick 2 seconds of stillness near you. Either you commit to a quiet takedown, a single close strike while its scan cone is directed elsewhere, or you back out and route around. If you must shoot, you don't double tap. You fire once, change position, and let the echo die. Ticks don't scare raiders, they punish laziness. Climbing the ladder, you meet the Snitches, the scouts. Think hovering lanterns with too many rules. They glide the long lines, boulevard medians, factory spines, the center line of a 2-lane road between rotting fences. Their scan cone is broader and smarter, always looking for contrast. New heat against old stone, motion crossing an axis, metal signatures where none should be. When a snitch flags you, it broadcasts. You'll hear it. Tone rises. Then a clipped burst as it paints your location to the network. The worst reaction is pride, trying to outshoot the call. By the time you drop a snitch, a response package may already be inbound. Smart teams treat them like cameras on a timer. Shadow a snitch at the edge of its cone, count the seconds it dwells at intersections, then slip between its sweeps. If you must remove one, you do it at a choke that favors you, under an overhang where the sky has a roof, behind a billboard where a responder can't see the body till it's too late. Understanding snitches turns the surface from a casino into a chessboard. You trade space and seconds, not bullets. Then come the fixers, bombardiers, leapers, and other midweights that convert a sighting into pressure. A bombardier is a small artillery package on legs or skids that loves distance. It tags from above with a scout, calculates wind with humiliating accuracy, and walks shells into you if you stay in predictable cover. The counter isn't heroics, it's tempo. Break line of sight at odd intervals. Change elevation suddenly. Make the bombardier recompute so often that a teammate can flank its blind side. Leapers are the opposite, gap closers built to break your spacing. They hug low walls, use cars and kiosks as springboards, and commit in bursts. You don't kite a leaper, you funnel it. Force it into a doorway where its leap becomes a straight line you can intercept, then move before its friends convert the noise into a grid. Bastions, heavy bipedals with plate geometry that sheds small arms, teach humility. They're not boss monsters. They're mobile, keep out signs the network deploys to secure work zones. You learn their preferences fast. Wind cover, partial shade, routes where their footfalls mask under environmental noise. They pivot slower than they advance, so the trick is angle, not output. You distract with a loud decoy to buy a quarter turn, then you either leave or you punish the exposed geometry with tools meant for the job. Raiders love to trade Bastion stories because a clean disengage is as satisfying as a kill. Learning when not to fight is part of the craft. All of those sit under a larger truth. ARC escalate. Think of their response as ladders, not floods. A single noisy event brings scouts. 2 noisy events in a short window draws a fixer. A pattern of resistance, Hits at the same intersection, repeated jamming, earns you a heavy or a roving perimeter with mixed arms. This is why good runs feel quiet on playback. The loudest teams don't last long enough to brag. Now the part everyone asks about: the queens. The word queen is raider slang. It's not regal, it's categorical. These are Guardian macros, multi-legged apex frames tasked with protecting high-value structures like harvesters or mobile refineries. Picture overlapping plates that flex to shed kinetic energy, anchor stakes that bite deep enough to ignore recoil, and a sensor mast that breathes, sampling air and RF like a nose. They don't patrol aimlessly. They orbit a job site, hold arcs over approach lanes, and retask subordinate drones the way a conductor hands a theme from brass to strings. You do not pick a fight with a queen at the end of a long day. You commit an operation, misdirection, environmental control, timed interference, fallback routes that don't cross each other. Veterans talk about queens not as enemies, but as weather systems. You read them. You don't outrun a storm. You move so that the worst part passes where you aren't. What about the harvesters those queens protect? Raiders argue about their purpose, but the observable behavior is consistent. Bore, sift, vent, repeat. Soil chemistry shifts within the perimeter. Aggregate fuses along pit walls. Metallics vanish at rates that don't match simple scrap collection. Whether it's resource sorting, terraforming, or something we haven't named yet, the point on a raid is practical. Harvester sites mean density. Of loot, of risk, of patrol logic you can learn. The safest raid near a harvester is often the one where you never see it. You work the rim, you exploit the rhythm, and you leave before the perimeter breathes in. A quick word on signals. ARC talk constantly. Short, encrypted bursts that bounce between units and climb to something higher. Raiders can't decode that language, but you can infer intent from timing. The half-second chain after a snitch pings tells you responders are airborne. The long 2-beat after a bastion shifts says a perimeter just expanded. Teams carry cheap receivers, not to translate, but to count. When the air goes busy, your clock starts. You don't argue on the mic. You execute the exit. If all of this sounds clinical, that's the point. ARC are frightening until they're familiar, and then they're frightening again because you realize the scale. The win condition isn't domination, it's literacy. You learn the alphabet: tick, snitch, bombardier, leaper, bastion, queen, and then you read the sentence they're writing on the ground. That sentence tells you whether to tiptoe, sprint, or vanish. Let's land this first half with a mental checklist you can hear in the hub before a night raid. Edges hide ticks, cones sweep wide, sky hears first, distance kills slow, closers kill sloppy, heavies mark work zones. Guardians mean you're in their story now, not yours. If you remember nothing else, remember that ARC escalate to patterns. Don't give them one. Start with what every raider calls quiet work. A quiet kill is not just no gunshot. It's a removal that doesn't create a pattern. If a tick is anchored in a stairwell, you don't rush it. You study the microloop. They pause, flare a hand-sized scan, pivot, and walk 3 steps. You take them on the turn, one clean strike from behind when the scan cone is pointed away and your body is between the bot and open space. No scraping feet, no sliding debris. Gloves or wrapped hands so you don't leave oil on metal that squeaks later. Bag the core if you can reach it, or at least push the carcass into a shadow so a hover scout doesn't add anomalous shape to its memory. A quiet kill leaves the routine intact. The worst thing you can do is break a loop so hard that the next ARC unit flags the absence. That's how you win the moment and lose the grid. Baiting scan cones is a team skill. You don't body bait unless you're ready to run. You light bait with throwables. Cheap heat dumps are worth their weight. A soda can stuffed with steel wool and a snapped glow stick gets warm enough to interest a snitch for 10 critical seconds. Toss it where you want the cone to dwell, end of an alley, behind a kiosk, then move across the lane it just vacated. Sound bait works too, but it's riskier because sound travels in straight lines and draws more than one listener. If you must use a clicker or a timed chime, mask it with environment. A hanging sign that creaks in the wind, a sheet of tarp you can make flap once. The rule is, bait where you aren't, not where you plan to be, and never bait the same angle twice in a row. Decoys keep you alive around bombardiers. Their whole job is turning hesitation into pressure. The moment a scout paints you, the math starts. Range, wind, deflection. Break that math. Change elevation fast. Up a bus, over a railing, down a stairwell. If there's no vertical, change your cadence. 2 long moves, 1 short, then dead stop behind a soft cover that eats shrapnel, upholstery, soil, sand, instead of hard cover that fragments into more threats. A noise decoy, tossed wide just before you stop, buys you 2 mortar corrections. That's often 30 seconds total. That window is for your teammate, not you, to arc a flank or to cut the scout's eyes. Teams that survive treat a bombardier like a chess clock. Every adjustment it makes is a second you spend on progress, not panic. Leapers punish sloppy spacing. They don't charge, they pounce, and they love parallel cover. Planters, low walls, rows of cars. Break the parallel, start the funnel early. One teammate hard marks the doorway you intend to force the leaper through. The others give it nothing but that mouth. When it commits, it's momentarily a straight line problem. That's when you spend your high stun, not before. If you don't have stun, step diagonally through, not straight back, so it lands past you and has to spin while your partner hits joints, not plates. If 2 leapers appear, never split targets. The only safe play is 2-on-1, then 2-on-1 again. Fast. Bastions are where discipline shows. You don't chip a bastion. You either leave it or you bring tools. Tools can be explosives, sure, but just as often, their environment. Loose rebar, scaffold clamps, ratchet straps. This is the Raider's toolkit. You can't outdamage a bastion with small arms, but you can modify its terrain. A strap around a leaning signpost and a pulled pin at the right second can swing a panel into its legs during a pivot, buying you the flank you need to attack a seam. If you don't have any of that, mark the zone red, log the bastion's preferred arc, and route the team around. A clean disengage is a win the codex doesn't track. Queens are systems, not targets. You dismantle queen influence by removing dependencies in this order: information, reinforcement, stabilization. Information means scouts and aerials. You sand the queen's eyes with line-of-sight denial. Smokes that don't smell like smoke, powdered clay and glycerin, tarps thrown high to break skylines, mirrors turned flat to blow out sensor contrast. Reinforcement means the mid-weights that turn pinpricks into pressure. You split them. A bombardier that can't see and a leaper that can't path are no longer a combined problem. Stabilization is the queen's anchor behavior, those moments it roots to brace or to vent heat. That's when you move, not to strike the queen, but to steal around the harvester's rim. The goal is extraction, not ego. Raiders who try to win a queen fight add names to the memorial wall. Raiders who bleed the perimeter, time the vent cycles, and leave with crates keep kids in Speranza warm. Signals matter. You can't decrypt ARC chatter, but you can count and correlate. Carry a cheap RF counter and treat tone density like weather. Light static, normal patrol. Spike and decay. One event acknowledged responders en route. Sustained busy. Perimeter change. Expect paths to shift and cones to sweep wider. Build a chart for your crew so everyone knows the shorthand. Say storm and everyone tightens formations and commits to the pre-planned exit. Say breathe after a long busy period and your runner checks the secondary exit while the rest hold. Night raids and stormfalls change the math. At night, the surface feels friendlier, but ARC aggression is genuinely higher. Drones cut linger times, queens rotate subunits faster. Your compensation is concealment and audio cover? Use it, but don't get greedy. Stormfall makes radios unreliable. Don't improvise new plans when comms are trash. Execute the plan you briefed and lean on hand signals. Tap helmet, listen, 2 fingers, cone, flat palm, hold, point, circle point, reroute. Practice this underground so it's automatic topside. Teams wipe in bad weather, not because of ARC, but because they argue over mics that don't carry. PvPvE reality check. Other raiders are part of the ecosystem. Treat rival squads like temporary weather systems, predictable only in their desire to leave richer. If you share a zone with strangers, your worst mistake is to announce with loud fights. Let ARC do work for you. If a snitch tags them, watch the response ladder hit them, then ghost the rim for the same loot. If they're disciplined and avoid patterns, consider a silent trade. A chalk arrow near a cache you've emptied, and maybe they return the favor in another sector later. Not everyone plays nice, but the ones who do reduce casualties on both sides. And yes, sometimes you have to disappear because a human threat is more immediate than a machine one. Keep a smoke you never spend on ARC. Spend it on people. Resource discipline ties everything together. Carry one luxury that buys time, a decoy, a spare battery, one fix that makes broken things work, wire, tape, clamps, and one oh no that resets a bad beat, flash, stun, or a one-use jammer. If you're the runner, you carry less weight than everyone else, always. Your job is paths and clocks, not heroics. If you're the anchor, the one who holds a corner so others move, you carry extra soft cover, folded fabric, foam squares, to transform sharp cover into safe cover in seconds. These are tiny choices that turn a red zone into amber. Think about heat, not getting hot as in gunfire, literal heat. ARC loves thermal contrast. Cool your silhouette before open ground. Kneel in shade for 10 seconds. Press your front to a cold wall. Let your pack vent. Tape reflective scraps inside your cloak so you can flip them outward for a quick thermal blink if a cone is searching. It's low tech, it works, and it costs nothing. Finally, exit doctrine. 2 exits minimum, both briefed with waypoint language everyone understands. Blue Gate 2 should mean the same dumpster, same alley, same ladder every time. Exits cross-contaminate when nervous crews cut corners and drift toward each other. That's how a single queen pressure wave traps 2 teams. Draw your exits like rails that never cross. If conditions change and you must pick a 3rd exit on the fly, demote one of the original exits out loud. A is dead, C is live. So no one splinters back to a path that just closed. RC are terrifying at first glance because they feel omniscient. They're not, they're consistent. Consistency is a gift. Read it, respect it, and you'll make it home with parts that keep Speranza breathing. That's the point of all this, not highlight reels, lights on, air moving, kids asleep.